According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, they say that 60% of U.S. women are not getting the recommended amount of physical exercise needed to remain healthy. More disturbing is the fact that 25% of U.S. women are reported not to be physically active at all. Sadly, Joy Weston is a keynote speaker, an international podcaster, a three-time published author, and an entrepreneur who has owned fitness and wellness companies for over 30 years. Early in her career, she was a bit of a trendsetter, as she became the first female trainer for the Philadelphia Flyers and served several years as a fitness expert for NBC 10. She is now on a mission to highlight as much positivity and intentional goodness in the world as possible. Weston joined me this week to have a conversation about fitness, female empowerment, sports, living in Philadelphia, and so much more. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Sandy, if you're ready, I'll take a moment to welcome you to the program. And I'm super excited to learn all about your journey in sports, television, and so much more. Great to see you this afternoon, and thank you so very much for being here.
You got it. I'm ready when you are, Kevin.
Absolutely. So, Sandy, when I read and heard about your story, I kind of felt that you were a bit of a trendsetter. You were one of the first. Yeah, you were one of the first female trainers for the Philadelphia Flyers, and you also spent some time in television as a fitness expert for a local television station there in Philadelphia. So tell me about those experiences and whether you believe that you are that trendsetter.
Well, I do believe back then I definitely was a trendsetter. Number one, I'm willing to take risks, and I'm okay. I don't love it if they don't work out. You know, there's times that things hit and there's times that things don't. And I think if you're going to be a true entrepreneur, you have to be okay with that. So that's number one. The second thing is timing is everything. When I fell into the amazing world of fitness, I was coming from being a dance major, Kevin. So I was a dance major. Thought I would teach at a dance studio, maybe eventually own a dance studio, but I was definitely not into health and fitness or even thinking I was going to become a business owner. And it just led me down that path when I taught a class, like an aerobic class, and they needed more information of how to incorporate dance into the fitness end. And I fell into this beautiful world right here in the suburbs of Philadelphia on the main line. And I met the most amazing people who wanted me to train them in their home. Well, nowadays, Kevin, there's millions of trainers. But back then, there weren't that many trainers. So I cornered the market and I met everybody you can imagine, the who's who in the Philadelphia area. And they really, really, really were just so instrumental in my career and, you know, setting me up with the right people at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, life is all about opportunities when they come your way, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. And a lot of the ideas, they were not my ideas, Kevin, but when they said, hey, how would you like to be on NBC 10 and, host our fitness, program? I was like, okay, I can do that. Now, I didn't have any experience at the time, but man, oh man, did I go after it and learn as much as I could to be the best in the industry.
Well, just talking to you for the first 5 to 10 minutes, I'm curious to ask you where your enthusiasm for life comes from. You seem to be a very enthusiastic person, so I'm curious, where does your passion and purpose for life come from?
Kevin, I grew up in a very, very humble beginnings. I grew up in the projects, and my mother, God bless her soul, she spent at least 50% of her life in mental institutions, and they weren't the well-funded ones. And so every single day to me was a blessing that I was alive and that there was hope for something else in life. And because I was so fortunate to meet the right people and to get out of that environment and have the most amazing life, every little thing I get really excited about, because I feel like I'm the luckiest person on earth to not only survive that situation, but have an amazing career, family, and friends.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say that life is a grand adventure, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
And I know one of your passions, as you mentioned earlier, is dance, and you created the Philly street dance line to combat the label of Philly being one of the fattest cities in America. So tell me about the endeavor and why it's so important to you.
So it's the same thing that, I always say to everyone every single day. When you are passionate about something and you enjoy it, you're more likely to do it, right? So if you enjoy meditating, you're going to meditate. If you enjoy the kind of workout you chose, it doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be painful. You're more likely to do it. So at the time, I had a health club, that Weston Fitness, that was downtown at 19th and Market, right near City Hall. And I got the news that Philly was voted the fattest city in the world, right? And I saw all they were doing. The mayor street, Kevin, he was a really great guy. He brought in what they called a fitness czar, Gwen Foster, and she was amazing. But she knew more of the health-related field. So I thought, I got to do something. I don't know what it is, but I got to do something because this is my life. I've made a living out of using fitness as my vehicle to spread joy. There's got to be something I can do in the city. So after many months of begging to get in a meeting with these people, I finally got a meeting, Kevin. I was sitting there. I'll never forget it. Gwen's there with her team, and they're all trying to come up with different ideas and how they're going to promote it and marketing. And I'm sitting there going, nobody's going to do it. It's boring. I mean, they were trying their best, but I was just like, this is boring. And I don't even know, I didn't have an agenda. Something like the spirit moved me. And I remember standing up and going, I know what the city needs. The city needs a line dance. And they're like, what? I go, and it's true. Philadelphia loves line dances. We have to create a line dance, and I can just see it. People will do it all over the city, and I'll make one that the seniors could do it. People that were the poppers and spinners, the high advanced kids could do it. I would do stuff that people could do in wheelchairs. Every single person will be able to do it at a different level. And they're like, do you have a dance? And I said, give me a week. So I went back, Kevin, and I created this dance, and it was fun. It was so Philly. I mean, Rocky's big in Philadelphia. So we were doing little boxing movements, and I was making it really friendly. And now here's the big thing. I created the dance, but we had to get the mayor to approve it, right? Because he's the one that had to say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Well, guess what? You're not going to believe this. You know what I didn't know? I didn't know that the mayor and Gwen Foster were Seventh-day Adventists, and they don't believe in dance. So they don't believe in dance. And here I am creating a dance for the city. And I'm like, oh God. But Gwen came up with an idea. She thought it was great. I made it very family friendly. And one day when the mayor was out with his team, you're not going to believe I did this. He was out with his team from the city, and they were having a strategic meeting, and they invited me to the meeting. And in the middle of the restaurant, Italian restaurant in South Philly, I got up with my little boom box and presented the dance to the mayor while he's eating baked ziti. And I stood there and I'm like, Mayor, we created this dance for you. I was scared to death. I did it in the middle of the restaurant. And all I could tell you is I sat back down, started eating my ziti. I was so nervous. And he just came up to me, put his hand on his shoulder, and he said, you done good, kid. And that was it. It was like wildfire, and it spread all over the city. Isn't that funny?
I have to tell you, you really know how to take advantage of opportunities, huh?
Yeah, right? Is that crazy?
Absolutely. It's innovative too, isn't it?
Yeah. But I wasn't the one that came up with the idea to do it in the middle of the restaurant. Gwen's like, this is where you're going to get them. And I started getting nervous. I'm like, I can't do this in the middle of his meeting. And then I'm thinking, wait a minute, I don't have a political career. What does it matter? So I just went for it.
Well, yeah, you never know when an opportunity knocks, right?
That's exactly right, Kevin. Exactly right.
And I know that for about the last 5 years, you've been focused on your production company, which has a very important mission. So, Would you tell me all about it?
Yeah. So in 2019, I didn't have a crystal ball. I didn't know about COVID, but I sold my health clubs. I got a great opportunity and I sold them. Yay. Perfect timing. Again, perfect timing. And I had a side gig that I always did, and it was SJW Productions. And that's where I did keynote speaking engagements. Even 10 years ago, I was hosting podcasts, doing workshops, and writing books, all about train your head and body will follow, all about the mindset. And what I did is I took that side gig after traveling for a year to figure things out and made it my main gig. And so what I do right now is I still host the podcast, some recorded, some live. I write books. My last one was for kids ages 6 to 12, Recess to Reset, which was great for young kids, a journal. But my main thing is my keynote speaking gigs. I actually took a course, Heroic Public Speaking grad program. It was a 7-month course, and I just graduated to take my keynotes up to the next level. We're going to shoot our sizzle reel in this month in July 20th. But I wanted to really go to the next level with that, Kevin. I've been speaking a lot, but I knew there was a lot more to learn, and I wanted to reach more people. It was great.
Well, congratulations on obtaining that accomplishment. And just speaking to you for the short time that I have, I know you're going to make a tremendous difference. So congratulations on the accomplishment. For sure.
Thank you, Kevin.
And Sandy, I'm curious to ask you about your perspective on female empowerment and empowering more women to sort of take control or take charge in positions of leadership. What do you think that looks like?
You know, Kevin, I get asked this a lot, and people always say to me, do you feel, actually my son who's 19 just asked me this, Mom, do you think people treated you differently in business because you were female? Do you think it held you back? You know, especially since I was starting out in the 80s. And Kevin, if they did, I really didn't notice it. I think I'm one of those people that I just let it go over my head, and I just kept looking forward of where I wanted to go. And I was so confident of what I wanted to put out in the world that it probably didn't matter to me, the side remarks. Now, that being said, there were times I would go to a meeting with all the business owners. And at the time, they were all men owning health clubs and me. And they would go, oh, you must be the aerobic person. And I would just laugh it off and go, no, I'm the owner. Or, oh, where's your husband? Like my husband would get credit, even though he wasn't in the business. They just assumed he must own it. But because I had so many other people that believed in me and that mentored me and really pushed me forward, it just didn't seem like a big deal to me. And I'd ignore it. And they told me that. They would say to me, Sandy, don't ever let them see you sweat. Like if they start digging you, people get jealous, whatever, just ignore it. And I remember one time I was getting hit hard about something that I did. And my mentor, who actually owned the Flyers at Snyder, he was also one of my clients and he invested in my first health club. He says, if they go in there and they start saying all this, Kevin, this is so good. He goes, you go in, you go, oh, guess what? It's all true, and keep walking. They won't know what to do because you just deflated all the rumors. And I never forget that. So I tell women that, not that you don't want to stand up for yourself if somebody says something, but focus in on all the other stuff that's out there and just keep the course. Don't let it hold you back. And the other thing is, when you really feel you're worthy, that you're worthy, that just being born of being happy, it makes a huge difference. And I've believed that my whole life.
Yeah, and one of the missions that you're currently on is to spread as much joy and inspire others to reach the fullest height of their own potential. So tell me about it.
Yeah, my mission has always been, no matter what I do, Kevin, no matter what I do, I want to spread joy. And not just joy, because there's a difference, pure joy. So I tell people, I'm not about always being happy. That would be ridiculous. You would be a robot. I am about embracing all the emotions, anger, hate, jealousy. We have them all. We all do. But what I am is that recognize when you are feeling frustrated, angry, jealous, hatred, and just let it get through your body and just breathe it through. Just say, it's not good. It's not bad. It's not real. It's not real. It's just how I'm feeling right now. And really sit with it, whether it's 60 seconds, 90 seconds, maybe at the most 5 minutes, to let it go through you and come out of you before you take action. You want to take action, not from there, right? What results are you going to get if you're taking action from anger, frustration, hate? You want to slightly move over into any of the love-based emotions, whether it's peace, calm, joy, love, and then take action, because that action, Kevin, is what is going to serve you well. So my mission is to teach people it's okay to have all those other emotions, but when you're coming from that love, peace, or joy place, man, oh man, that's when not only will it serve you well, but it'll serve all the people around you well. And so I want to teach different techniques of how you can get out of the other emotions sooner to be more in that space.
Yeah, Sandy, there's a sign in my office that says we're all given the platform to make a difference, and it's up to us to point it in our compass in the direction that we want to go, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. By the way, that's so funny you're saying that, because my big idea, you come up with a big idea for my new keynote, is life doesn't happen to you, you happen to life. And it's all about how you choose to show up in the world. Like, what do you do to prepare yourself before you go out into the world, open those doors? Because I think you're more in control than you believe you are.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because my next question has to do with diversity, equity, and inclusion. I was born with cerebral palsy, and a lot of people view me as an inspiration, and I simply tell them that I'm living my life, right? Because
Uh,
I want to be viewed just as a regular person rather than the limitations of my disability. And one of the passions I have outside of hosting this podcast, Andy, is I work with businesses and entrepreneurs to
mm.
better infuse folks with disabilities into the workforce. So how do you think we can create a more equitable environment for individuals with disabilities in society?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So first of all, that was a really big thing to me when I owned my health clubs, that everybody felt comfortable and all walks of life could be there. And we also had physical therapy clinics inside our gym. So we had to make sure there was, wheelchair accessibility. But I also, we would hire different groups, whether, whatever they were coming from, it didn't matter. They used to say more of a special need, that they needed something different. And it was a big deal to me to make sure that I provided a space that everyone, no matter what, felt comfortable. And I really think we did, Kevin, because when I closed, everyone was crying, because even it wasn't just for the wealthy or people just getting by, or the secretaries or CSOs, the CFOs, it didn't matter. And God, that made me so happy. It made me so happy to see people not just with disabilities, but also different political views, different races getting along. But that being said, and now my company's much different because it's much smaller, but I do try to bring all different types of people on to my podcast to spread whatever their mission is. But I think the biggest thing, Kevin, is not to judge ourselves. When you judge, if you look at people, like do an experiment, I'm going to tell your listeners, and see the people that are really open-minded to other people and can see beyond what they see on the surface and see inside them. Usually, I'm not going to say usually, always, they're people that like who they are. They don't judge themselves harshly. They get they're not perfect, but they like who they are. So when you like who you are, you're less likely to judge others. I mean, I've seen it time and time again. So I think my biggest contribution is to take a look at yourself first. Because if you truly believe you're worthy of life's happiness, I'm telling you, you're going to see the world in a whole different place. And not that, we all judge to a certain extent, but man, oh man, your eyes are going to be open to so much beauty that you didn't see before.
Yeah, absolutely. And that value of perspective is important, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Just digging into that, how do you think our perspective on society has evolved over the years? I'm curious to get your perspective.
Well, right now, Kevin, oh my God, I just had a conversation at a barbecue last night, and I'm like, my head is going to explode. I feel, because somebody said to me, why are you going to, let me back up. I love fireworks. I'll celebrate anything. I'll celebrate, it's an aunt's birthday. I think anything you can do to celebrate. So we were talking about this, I love fireworks. So one of my friends has a big event on July 3rd, I go to that. 4th of July, I go to that. And some of my friends are like, how can you go celebrate Independence Day and 4th of July? Like, it just doesn't seem right. And I get it. We have a lot of things going on, and they were being more cynical. I feel that you can't wait. How can I say it? You can't wait for the world to heal ourselves. And it starts with you. So what I feel right now is a lot of disappointment, a lot of anger, even maybe, hatred. And I get it. We got a lot of things to clean up, but I also think it's an opportunity for us to really dig Do you like that dink? That's a new word. Dive dink. Let's dive dink. Anyhow, I really think it's an opportunity for us to go deeper and look at all the things we were just, letting happen, that it's opened up that can of worms. You're peeling back the onion. And if we start with looking at what is positive in the world, what is going right, let's dwell on that while we look at the other things that we would like to change in the world.
Yeah, to that point, Sandy, I always view life as a constant learning experience. So my next question to you is, how do you challenge yourself to learn something new every day?
So, all right, I play these little games. It's really fun. I challenge myself every month to do at least one thing that's really scary to me or that I'm feeling from. One big thing a month, at least. And then every week, I do something that makes me feel like, okay, this is going to work right. But on a daily basis, every single day, I do something even little that makes me not in my comfort box, out of my, what I call my zone. And it just makes me feel alive because I'm okay, which I think is a big thing for people, Kevin. I'm okay if it doesn't work out. That to me is not failure. For me, failure is I didn't try. If I try, and trust me, there's a lot of things that didn't hit and didn't work out for me, or I said the wrong way. If I try, that's success.
Yeah,
if I try.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to ask you about living in Philly and how you make yourself authentically Philadelphia. I'm curious.
Well, I do eat cheesesteak, so there's that. Even though I'm a fitness person, authentically Philly. I mean, we say we're the brotherly love, but everyone's like, I don't know. But the thing that I know for me is true. I am that person that will dance in the middle of a supermarket if my jam comes on. So I don't care. I am a foodie. I eat everything, even though I eat 80% healthy. I eat everything and we have great restaurants in Philly. I do love all the sports. I'm not one of those crazy fans that's screaming and yelling. I'm not like that, but I am a big enthusiast and I love going to all the sporting events. And I'm really, really proud that I live in the suburbs of Philadelphia because, it's a big deal here in the United States, Philadelphia. So
it's one of the birthplaces of the country, right?
That's exactly right. So especially on 4th of July, there was a lot to celebrate. So
lots of history for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And how do you think we get more women into sports broadcasting and careers in sports in general?
I do see a change in that. I really do. Well, first of all, let's just put it this way. I have a lot of friends that could care less about sports. So I do have a lot of female friends that could care less about sports. So, but those who do, and there's just as many that do, I think you're going to see a big difference, Kevin, in the next 5 years because I see women jamming it. I mean, they really are holding their own. And I just think like everything else, they just gradually get their way in until all of a sudden it's like, we're here and we're not going back. We're here.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell me about your podcast. You brought it up a couple of times, so I'll give you the space to tell me about it.
Yeah, and I saw just when I was looking you up that you also are willing to be a guest.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I have a podcast that I've been doing for years called Let's Keep It Real. And I pick one person from around the world who I believe is making a positive, powerful difference in the world. Doesn't matter what they're doing. It used to be just in wellness and health and fitness, but now it's any walk of life. And we talk about their journey, and then they give like 3 to 5 tips to the listeners of how they can apply it to their lives. I love doing it. But a couple years ago, I started just for women a podcast called Hey, I Got Something to Say, because there were a lot of women around the world that they felt once they hit the age of 35 or 40, no one was really listening to them. They didn't feel heard. So the podcast called Hey, I Got Something to Say is highlighting a woman from around the world who's got that one thing she wants to get out in the world. And it's just 30 minutes. And I do it on Instagram Live every Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but I record it. I picked that time because it's the best time for everybody around the world. It seemed to work with the time zones. But I record it and I put it everywhere. And oh my God, Kevin, it is hysterical. When you go live, the things people say and do, and you can't take it back. It's live, Oh, I love it. I love it.
Well, there are advantages to authenticity when you go live, aren't there?
I mean, it's funny. There's some women, I swear to God, they forget we're on live and they're fixing their hair and they're like, just cut that out. I'm like, I can't. Or one woman was putting on her fake eyelashes. She's like, you'll just cut that out. I'm like, it's live. But people find it hysterical.
Well, I tell you, it's the best way to get them to be their authentic selves, that's for sure.
That's true. That's true.
And Sandy, my final question for you today, I'm all about celebrating the wins in life, no matter how big or how small, because, life is so infinitely short. I think it's important to celebrate all of the things that lead us to prosperity and even the things that we have to overcome. So my final question for you today has to do with celebrating life and how you want your legacy to be perceived.
Ooh. My legacy, I want to be known that my mission was to reach as many people as possible, for them to realize how powerful they truly are, and they are worthy of all life's joys. I want to reach as many people as possible all around the world, for them to tap into the power that is already within them. No matter what they've accomplished in life, it doesn't matter. As far as celebrating, I celebrate all the time, Kevin. I do this thing called dance reset. And so almost every hour, I get up for 1 minute and I start dancing around just to reset myself and have fun and enjoy that moment, and to remind myself of what my mission is. And I love words. So every single day, I pick a word that I'm going to focus on. It's just simple. Like, people should try this. You pick a word. It could be peace, love, joy, fun, power. And before I get out of bed in the morning, I spend just even 30 seconds thinking about, how do I want to show up in the world? And like I said, it could be power, it could be fun, could be joy, could be whatever way you want to show up. And I take deep breaths in, and then all throughout the day, I remind myself of what's my word. And it really works, because before I get on that podcast or that call or that difficult call or write that email to myself, is that going to bring me freedom? Is that going to bring me pure joy? Whatever that one word is. And it's so simple, but it does help you reset and remind yourself of what you really want in that day. And it's awesome. It's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have to tell you, I had a ball, and I was absolutely delighted that you accepted my invitation to engage in conversation. Your work in the space of fitness and female empowerment is most appreciated, as is your time this afternoon. On my behalf, I want to thank you for being here. It's most appreciated.
Kevin, I had so much fun. I'm so grateful you reached out to me. This was really, really a good time for me.